Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is some staging tables, and we're going to need a database and a schema to put them in. So I'm using Postgres with pgadmin, but whatever you're using, you're going to have an object explorer where you can go and create a database. We're going to call this Superstore. I know that all my defaults are going to be absolutely fine here. I don't need to work. It's not an unusual data set. So your default collation, your default character encoding, all of that kind of thing will almost certainly work. Mine certainly will. I'm the only owner, so I don't need to worry about this or security or anything like that. So for most of you, if you're on your own machine doing your own thing, default's going to work. If not, it'll be a fun project to find out how. So you can actually see now that that's been created, the encoding and the collation and so on. I'm in the UK. It's US data, but that's not going to make a huge amount of difference. It's still Latin alphabet, numbers, and basic punctuation. So I'm going to need some schemas as well. So let's create some schemas. Might as well do it here. We could do it with SQL. Just create schema and then schema name. We're going to need a staging schema where we're going to have our staging tables. I don't really want the public schema. Let's drop that. Don't know why it's created that. By the way, I am new to Postgres, so it might be quite fun learning together a few things. So we're going to need a fact dimension. We're going to need a fact schema for the fact tables. We're going to need a dimension schema. Call it dim. So the fact and dim schemas are going to be for our data warehouse. We are going to need a temp, just for temp tables and any experimentation we want to do in a sandpit, and a report schema for further down the line when we're building bespoke data sets for use in Tableau. So as you can see, you know, it's just create schema. To create a schema, we could have done that all just with code. Speaking of, let's create some tables. So we've got our schemas. So we're going to create some staging tables in our staging schema to hold the data. So we want to take a look at the data. We want to create tables that perfectly reflect the structure and the data types of this. The whole point of a staging table is just to have the data as is, and then we do transformation from there. I might find a slight exception to that rule in a minute, just for convenience, but bear with me. So all I'm going to do is go through, create a field for each column in the Excel spreadsheet. With the appropriate data type, so mostly variable character, including the dates, because the dates are a mix of Excel dates stored as number and text dates in US format with no trailing zeros. We'll come back to that. So these are, if you're not aware, Excel stores and works with dates as numbers, where the first of the first 1900 is 1, the following day is 2, and day 44,866 is the 1st of November 2022. So we've got a mix of that, and these dates are just in US format, so month first, then day, then year. So we're going to have to unpick that later. But right now, we're just going to treat them all as text and import them. Even though these will be numbers, they'll be numbers stored as strings. So that should be fairly straightforward. We're using numeric for our sales margin, and so sales, profit, and discount. There's a few data types you can use with numbers with decimal places, but we're going to use numeric, and the rest should be straightforward. People table, we've only got 2 fields, that's pretty straightforward. Returns, we only need, because the only thing that exists in this table are returned orders, we're good to go with this. We don't need the returned column, we can just grab this one. Just a little thing in terms of this being a fake data set. In the real world, it's unusual for whole orders to be returned. You can quite often have just an order item or a unit of an order item returned. But here, everything's nice and neat. The whole order is returned or nothing at all. But that's our data in Excel. We're reflecting that here. So I'm going to paste all this SQL down below. I'd encourage you to write it out yourself. We're using a primary key for row ID. I'll explain primary keys and indexing and stuff like that later. But for now, let's just run this. I need to connect to the correct database. New connection to Superstore. Yes. Okay. And if I just run all this, that'll create our 3 tables. We can check that that's happened over here. If we expand staging, the staging schema, look at our tables. We have order items, people, and returns. And we can expand that even more, look at the columns, and see that we've got all of the columns as expected. So I'm going to pause at this point and come back to you with, we're going to import our data from Excel into the staging tables that we've just built.